Welcome into another episode of the Saturday Report. I am your host, Justin Andes, and today we are going to be talking about SEC over-under win totals. Who's going to hit the over? Who's going to hit the under? We're going to be selecting all of those today, or predicting who hits those today. What this is not going to be, first and foremost, this is not going to be a schedule prediction. I'm not going to walk through all 16 games for every single SEC, or all 12 games for all 16 SEC teams, and predict whether they win or lose those games. What this is going to be is, for certain teams, we're going to look at their best chances of winning games. For some teams, we're going to look at their best opportunities to either lose games or games that are going to be a challenge for them. And based off of that information and what their projected over-under win total is, we're going to pick whether they hit the over or if we believe they're going to hit the under. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. So let's start with Alabama. Alabama has an over-under win total of 8.5 right now. One thing they have to their benefit in this win total is they don't have too difficult of a schedule at all. What they do have is a 4-game stretch in there of Georgia at Tennessee, Texas A&M at home, and then at LSU. In order to come out with the over, which would mean that they win 9 games, 8.5 means that if they win 8 games, they go under. If they win 9 games, they go over, just as a brief overview of how this works. In order to hit the over, they just need to win 1 of those 4 games in that 4-game stretch. I believe they should be able to win all of the other 8 games on their schedule. And I believe they can find a way to win one of them. I believe they can find a way to pull out one of them, so I am picking Alabama to go over 8.5 wins and win at least 9 games in this upcoming season. On to Arkansas. Arkansas's win total is quite a bit worse. It's at 4.5 games this year. And if they don't win 5 games, I think it's going to be a tough first year for Ryan Silverfield coming over from Memphis, but he's going to be a first-year head coach. He doesn't have all of the resources that every other SEC coach is working with at Arkansas, and he's got quite a bit of a rebuild on his hands here. They do have KJ Jackson at quarterback, a lot of buzz about his physical attributes and what he's able to do on a football field. This is a team that I'm looking more so at the potential wins than the potential losses. I'm trying to figure out how can they get to 5 games, not how do they lose, 8 games to get down to 4. So, potential wins here: North Alabama, at Utah, Tulsa, at Vandy, Missouri, and at Auburn. Those are all potential or up in the air. I believe they're going to win North Alabama and Tulsa with really not much issue. I hope that that's the case. If that's not the case, a really tough year for Ryan Silverfield coming in for his first year. Aside from that, though, they have to win 3 of those other 4 between Utah, Vandy, Missouri, and Auburn, and I do not see that happening. So I am going to pick Arkansas with the under. I think they're going to win 4 games or less this year, and Ryan Silverfield's going to be off to a tough start, but again, I think they're going to give him a little bit of time there, a little bit of grace, and hopefully next year and the years to come, there's some more to build off of. Auburn comes up next. They have an over-under win total of 6.5. They got head coach Alex Golesh coming in from South Florida. They got a lot of players coming in from South Florida as well alongside him, including his quarterback. Here's the trouble games that I see on their schedule, or the tougher games that I'd want to go over. Baylor to start the season. They're going to have a 6-game stretch within their schedule of Florida, Vanderbilt, at Tennessee, at Georgia, LSU, and at Ole Miss, all in the span of 6 games. I don't know if there's a bye week baked into there, but really it doesn't matter. That's just a tough 6-game stretch, no matter how you slice it. And then, of course, they're going to finish the season at Bama with the Iron Bowl. Of all of these 6, 7, 8 games, they need to win 3. I don't see them winning 3, at least in year 1. Honestly, I heard it put somewhat well. I don't know if you're going to be able to bring South Florida into the SEC and win, or a large percentage of your starters and players coming in from South Florida. I don't know if they're going to be able to come into the SEC and compete at a high level. I think we hit under this first year, and Golesh is in year 1 again of this rebuild, and maybe just needs some more time under his belt. But we'll see. After Auburn, we're going to get to Florida. Florida's got an over-under win total of 7.5, so a little bit higher than Auburn. Both teams have first-year coaches with John Summerall coming in from Tulane. He also brings in Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech alongside Buster Faulkner as the offensive coordinator, so he's got a little bit of continuity on the offensive side, which is going to be good. They also return a lot of talent. They have a very talented team outside of quarterback last year when DJ Lagway just didn't live up to expectations. So I think Florida does have the talent roster to be able to make some noise here. What they also have is a slightly tough schedule. They have a 3-game stretch earlier in the season at Auburn against Ole Miss and Missouri. And then just shortly after that, they have another 3-game stretch at Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma. And then they also have to play Vanderbilt. You can also throw South Carolina in there as a potentially tough game to look at. That game is in Florida. If it was at South Carolina, if it was in Columbia, I think that it would be a little bit tougher, quite a bit tougher. It's tough to play at South Carolina. But since it's in Florida, I'm not really adding that as much into the calculus. You need to win 3 out of those, not including South Carolina, to get to 8 wins. And I think it's going to be tough to win 3 of those games out of the 2 3-game stretches or the 6 games between Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma. So for this year, I'm choosing Florida to go under their win total. That seems to be a bit of a, I don't want to call it controversial, but it's not a highly held opinion. Everyone thinks Florida's going to be better than their win total, and they're going to exceed expectations, potentially be a dark horse to make it into the playoffs. But we've said that about Florida the last couple of years under Billy Napier, and I think Summerall is going to do better, but he's also a first-time head coach in the SEC. So I need to see it to believe it. Once we see it, then Florida can be off to the races because they have a great program, they have great resources, great facilities, and they can shoot off. But for now, I got to wait until Summerall proves it to me. Next, we've got Georgia. Georgia is at the top of the SEC, or tied with Texas at the top of the SEC, spoiler for later, with an over-under win total of 9.5 games. Georgia does have to play Oklahoma, at Bama, Florida, Ole Miss, and Missouri. And they have to take at least 3 of those games. They have to take care of 3 of those teams. I think they can do it. I think they have a very workable schedule. Not a lot of those games are bunched together incredibly tightly. And to win 3 of the 5, I think that's super doable. So I am going to pick Georgia to win over 9.5 games, which means they have another 10-win season. Kirby Smart just bakes up 10-win seasons like it's nothing. He's been doing it year after year after year now. I don't know why we're still questioning him. I think it's because he hasn't won a national championship in a few years, but he's pretty good to get to 10 wins every year. If you're liking the video so far, as we go into more teams, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. This is a almost brand new channel. We're on episode 5 of the Saturday Report right now. I've got a few subscribers, but every subscriber helps. It only takes a couple of seconds. It helps me out a ton. So thank you very much for doing that. And we'll jump right into Kentucky. Kentucky's over-under win total is 4.5 right now. They got head coach Will Stein coming over. They got offensive coordinator Joe Sloan coming out from LSU, was fired last year alongside Brian Kelly. Will Stein brings him in to go and lead the offense. This is another team that I thought it would be a lot easier to talk about potential wins than potential losses. So their potential wins this year are going to be against Youngstown State, South Alabama, at South Carolina. That's a tough one being in Columbia there. Vanderbilt, and then Louisville to end the season. To hit their over, Kentucky's got to win all 5. I don't see Kentucky winning all 5 of those. I saw Joe Sloan call plays last year, and I think they're going to have some semblance of a heartbeat on offense to win all 5 of these games. Sorry to say it, Kentucky, I think you're going under this year. Next, we go to LSU with an over-under win total of 8.5. LSU, a workable schedule, not the most tough schedule in the SEC, but still not going to be the easiest, especially with a 3-game stretch right before ending the season. But we've got LSU with Clemson coming in to see them first game of the year. And they got at Ole Miss in week 3. Later on, they're playing Texas A&M at home, Bama at home, Texas at home, Tennessee at Neyland, and Bama, Texas, and Tennessee are in a 3-game stretch before they finish the season at Arkansas. I'm going to be honest, I don't see them losing 4 of these games with the talent roster that they have right now. If Sam Leavitt can play solid quarterback, Lane Kiffin's going to come in and put a good offense together. We know that. Blake Baker may be being looked over or overlooked in this equation a little bit. He's going to put a solid defense on the field. That defensive line, question marks are there. They're very, very young. Edge rushers are going to be elite. Prince Will, Uman Mielen, Jordan Ross. All comes down to those defensive tackles. If they can get any sort of push or stalemate on the interior, that defense is going to be really, really good. The second and third levels are awesome. And we know Lane Kiffin's going to put an offense with a pulse on the field. So I don't see LSU losing 4 of these games. I think they may go well above their win total, but that's a conversation for another day. We're going to go over for LSU. Now we head into Mississippi State with an over-under win total of 4.5. Yet another team that I think it's going to be a lot easier to go through their potential wins than the games that I think are going to be more challenging or potential losses for them. They got head coach Jeff Lebby with quarterback Kamario Taylor coming in for his sophomore year. Big physical attributes guy. 6'4", 230 was what I found on him. I think he's going to be fun to watch. I just don't know if he has the talent around him. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Potential wins this year. UL Monroe, at Minnesota, at South Carolina again, being in Columbia, that's going to be so tough for them. Vanderbilt, Tennessee Tech, maybe Auburn is potential in there. It depends on how Auburn performs. If we add Auburn into the calculus, you got to win 5 of those 6. If Auburn's not in the calculus and we're counting that as a loss, you got to win all 5 of these games against UL Monroe, Minnesota, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee Tech. I think they're going to drop at least one of those 5 games, and I'm thinking they're probably going to drop Auburn too. So Mississippi State under 4.5 wins. From there, we go into Missouri with an over-under win total of 6.5. Missouri quarterback Austin Simmons comes over. People are still forgetting about this. Eli Drinkwitz brings Austin Simmons over from Ole Miss. Last year, Austin Simmons was the one that Lane Kiffin chose to run the offense for the first couple of games until he got injured. Lane Kiffin believed in Austin Simmons more than he believed in Trinidad Chambliss at the beginning of the year last year. And that's saying something because Lane Kiffin, again, puts amazing offenses on the field consistently year after year. So I think we might be getting ahead of ourselves again. I think Austin Simmons is going to play well. Here's the games that could be challenging for them. Florida, Texas A&M, and at Ole Miss. That's a 3-game stretch in the season. Then we got back-to-back later on, Texas and at Georgia. And then we've got Oklahoma at home later than that. They need to find a way to win 2 of these games. If they can win against Florida and Ole Miss, or if they can take Florida and A&M, Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma are going to be tough. But I think they can find a way to win 2 of these games somehow, some way. Drink's usually got something good in his back pocket. They're going to have an amazing rushing game. And if they can control a couple of these teams on the ground, I think they can win. So Missouri, you're going over this year. Over 6.5 wins, at least in the 7-win column. Oklahoma has an over-under win total of 7.5. I thought this was a very low number for how talented Oklahoma comes into the season, but they've got a pretty tough schedule that they need to work. Got John Mateer coming back. I think there are still some question marks around Mateer because of how last season went. All arrows point to him being better because we saw him 2 years ago play lights out at Washington State. Last year, gets the hand injury. He basically says it's like throwing a baseball without 2 fingers. I don't know how you're supposed to do that. You're essentially just holding it with a thumb at that point. But, yeah, I think John Mateer is going to be better. And they've got an insane defensive line. So, Venables is just going to put a good defense on the field. Anyway, again, getting a little bit ahead of myself here. The tougher games on their schedule: at Michigan early, at Georgia, Texas at home, at Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Again, they only need to win 2 of those games to reach 8 wins this season. I think they win 2 of those games. I could easily see them winning at Michigan. I could easily see them winning at Florida. I could easily see them beating Ole Miss. I can easily see them beating A&M. Texas, Red River Shootout, it's always kind of a toss-up. Last year, not so much, mainly because of how Mateer was playing. But if Mateer came in there full health, we might be having a different conversation about that game too. It may be a lot closer. So I think that's going to be much more competitive. Oklahoma is another one of those teams that I could see shooting well above their clip of 7.5 wins and reaching that 9-10 win range. Next up, we've got Ole Miss with an over-under win total of 7.5. Disregard that LSU helmet that you see right there. I promise I can be objective about college football while being an LSU fan. I know some people can't do it. I can do it. Head coach Pete Golding comes in. He's elevated from the defensive coordinator and interim coaching role. They got quarterback Trinidad Chambliss still back there, slinging the rock. He's a playmaker. He's a magician. He can do some amazing things. Their tougher games are going to be Louisville to start the season, LSU at home in week 3, at Florida, Missouri at home, at Texas, Georgia, and at Oklahoma. You only need to win 3 of these to win 8 games. And I see I see Ole Miss winning 3 of these games. I see Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey winning 3 games for this Ole Miss team. Pete Golding, I think he's still going to put a good defense on the field. I don't think he's forgot how to coach. And he coaches good defense. So, if they put a heartbeat of if they put a defense with a pulse out on the field, Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey can win them football games. I think they win them at least 3. Ole Miss, you're at the over. You're winning at least 8 games this year. South Carolina has an over-under of 6.5 on the year. Lenora Sellers comes back for another year, very highly touted, a lot of talent there. Seems a lot of unmet expectation in Columbia, South Carolina as of the last couple of years, while having Sellers, especially last year, was a very disappointing year. The schedule's not doing them any favors. I think they might have the toughest schedule in the entirety of the SEC. I know a lot of people are thinking that's Texas. South Carolina's got an argument to make. People, I think, might be just discounting them because they don't believe they're going to win all that much. But let's see. They have a 6-game stretch in the heart of the season at Bama, Kentucky at home, at Florida, Tennessee at home, at Oklahoma, and Texas A&M at home. And then later on, they got Georgia and they got Clemson. But that 6-game stretch is going to make or break their season. And unless the O-line drastically improves from what we've seen the last couple of years, I don't see it happening. So I don't think they win 3 of those games to get them to the over. South Carolina, you hit the under. Tennessee, over-under win total of 7.5. Quarterback is a bit of a question mark, a battle right now between Faison Brandon and George McIntyre, but the games that we're really taking a look at are going to be at Georgia Tech early in the year, Texas at home, Bama at home, at South Carolina, at Texas A&M, LSU, and Vandy, and those 3 games are a 3-game stretch to end the season. You need to win 3 of these games. Hands down, you need to win 3 of these games to get to the 8 wins. I think if there's somebody that can do it, Josh Heupel can do it. They also do have the benefit of a backloaded schedule where they've got some time for this offense and this quarterback and receiver core to gel. So whether it's Faison Brandon or George McIntyre, things are leaning toward Faison Brandon right now from everything that I read and everything that I hear. Tennessee, I believe you hit the over on the win total and win at least 8 games this year. That brings us to the Texas Longhorns. Texas has an over-under win total of 9.5 this year, and they have a difficult schedule. As I said, talking about South Carolina, they don't have an easy schedule to work at all. They are going to start the year, week 2 of the year, they're going to have Ohio State come into town. Then they got a 4-game stretch shortly after that of at Tennessee, Oklahoma at home, Florida at home, and Ole Miss at home. Thankfully, they get some of those games at home, but that's still not an easy stretch of games to win. You got to play at LSU and then at A&M to end the year, and you can only lose 2 of those games. I think you'll lose more than 2 of those games. This is a really tough schedule to work. They're going to be a great team. I just don't know how they get to. I shouldn't say I don't know how they get to 10-2. I think the likelihood is much greater that they're 9-3 or worse. So Texas, we're shooting for the under right now. That brings us to Texas A&M. Texas A&M, the Aggies have an over-under win total at 8.5 right now. We've got Tough games at LSU, at Missouri, at Bama, Tennessee at home, at Oklahoma, and Texas at home to end the season. Can you find a way to win 3? If you win 3, that gets you to 9 games. We only named 6. You can have 3 of those games be losses and still hit 9 wins. I think a 9-win season would be good for Mike Elko and for the Aggies. I think the fans would be looking for a little more after you won 11 games last season. But your schedule last season was very workable, and it was even easier than it looked to begin the season because of the teams like LSU that just fell flat on their face. So, A&M to get to 9 games, I'm going to pick it. Yes, A&M is going to hit the over. It's going to be more difficult than it was last year. 9-3 should make you as happy as 11-1 did last year, and it'll at least put you in the conversation to the college football playoff. If you only lose 2, even better, you're in. And lastly, we're going to wrap up with everybody's favorite, the Vanderbilt Commodores out there in Nashville with an over-under win total of 5.5 games. This is another one that I think it's going to be easier to go through the potential wins than the potential losses. So potential wins, you got Austin Peay, Delaware, NC State, at Auburn, Arkansas, Kentucky, at Mississippi State, at Florida, and Tennessee at home to end the season. People are going to question mark those last 2 at Florida and Tennessee. At Florida, Summerall's first year. Tennessee at home. They've proven the last couple of years that they can beat Tennessee. You got quarterback Jared Curtis coming in. He's a 5-star. He's going to be a freshman. We'll see how that translates. Freshman quarterback do not necessarily translate incredibly well in their first season playing. But there's still an argument to be said that Clark Lee, the past couple of years, has proven that he kind of knows what he's doing. So, let's see. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 potential wins. You got to win 6 out of those 9. You could just as easily lose these games, but I'm going to bet on Clark Lee here to put a good team on the field and have Vanderbilt winning 6 games, going 6-6, and making a bowl. So, in total, through the entire SEC, we had 9 teams hit the over, 7 teams hit the under. Some of that's going to come out down to out-of-conference schedules and games and all that stuff. But what do you think? Do you agree with my selections here? Any teams where you would flip the over-under selection? I would love to hear that in the comments. Make sure to follow me on Twitter or X at JustinAndysCFB. That helps at least get my name out there, and you can follow on the socials. And lastly, again, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. It helps so much. With this being a new channel and only having a few subscribers, every subscriber counts. I really want to continue doing this. I'm really enjoying putting this content out for everybody. I'm enjoying having these deep dives into teams and into programs and in it, I'm still learning more as well. So leave comments on what you want to see, what you want to hear, things you want to talk about, questions you have for me, and like and subscribe because that always helps a ton. And we will see you next time.